states that we want to become a successful consumer cooperative, working towards creating a better, fairer world to enhance the lives of our colleagues, members, customers, and the communities we serve. And it looks super simple when you write it down like that, but it's very hard to do, and it requires a lot of focus and great insight to fulfill. And so as we work towards that vision, we want to ensure that we're capturing the insight by constantly listening to the needs of our members and putting them at the heart of everything that we do. And that's why the conversation today is so important. If you flip to the next chart, please, Melody. So I'm going to hand over now to Melody and Helen, who are going to share some customer and member insights from research we've conducted over the last couple of years to help stimulate our conversation today and spark new ideas. And so feel free to raise your hands and put your ideas in chats, and we'll come to you. So Melody, over to you.
Okay, so just to put into context the conversation that we're going to be having in a little while, I just wanted to take you back to the beginning of this sort of piece of work that we've been doing around getting to understand you as a member and understand how we can make membership more valuable to you. So we started this piece of work back in 2019 when we launched a massive survey in September. We had about 9,000 respondents, and it allowed us to get some real insight around the things that we're doing well, the things that we're not doing so well. And we were able to split it in different areas. So what I've done here is I'm just going to show you the main themes that came out of there, because as I said, there's lots and lots of questions. But basically what you told us is that membership value is not always very clear. That a high percentage of members also part of other programs, which some of them thought that they were actually easier to understand than ours and perhaps more valuable to some extent. You said that value was more evident if you lived within the trading area than if you lived outside of the trading area. You said that members want to be rewarded with offers, discounts, points, that you want a personalised experience and regular communication, that instant rewards was most popular if you lived within the trading area, but then share of profits was most popular if you lived outside of the trading area. You told us that your main reason for joining was around rewards and share of the profits. So all these things put together basically taught us that where we really need to improve is to increase the tangible value of membership. So that's what we learned in 2019. Since then, we've done quite a bit of work, and the biggest thing we've sort of been working on so far is the launch of a program called Your Co-op Rewards. And this is basically a member rewards program to try and fill that sort of gap between the way we reward you and the way you'd like to be rewarded. So it works in different ways. The main part of it, or the first part of the program, is you'll be able to get instant rewards at the till. This would be mainly focused around food and travel, but it means that you can now, as soon as this is launched, at the moment it's only in pilot, but as soon as this is launched, you'll be able to access these instant rewards at the till point. But it also means that you'll be able to save up for larger treats later on whenever you want to spend them. So for every £10 you spend, you'll be getting one stamp, and at the moment it'll be digital stamps. And you can save these stamps up for things like holidays or days out, meals or treats, just anything you'd like to choose from. But there'll be a long list of things that we keep updating just to make sure it's still relevant and interesting. The Your Co-op Rewards program will be mainly available on an app, which will also have your digital membership card on there and on the website. However, we are looking at the non-digital version of this as well to ensure that nobody misses out. And as I said, this has been piloted only, and we're looking at rolling it out to the rest of the estate. So I'll hand over to Helen now, who's going to lead a discussion around some of the points discussed.
Right. Good evening, everyone. So you've obviously heard from Melody about the research that we did a couple of years ago and how we got this really strong message that actually the initial reason for joining is to, because people think there's something in it for them. They think there's reward for them. They discover all sorts of other great things about us when they have joined. And so obviously Melody's talked about the fact that, we're trying to put that right and make sure that there are some there are some rewards that are available to people when they're members. What I really want to do is kind of have a bit more discussion about that now. So we've done quite a bit of talking, to understand from you what you think about that and how else you'd like your co-op to make you feel rewarded. So what would make you feel rewarded? And what would you really like to see us do? And I can see Janet's got her hand up immediately, but you've put it down, Janet. Was that an accident? No, Janet's got her hand up. Let's go straight to you and Mickey, but you'll need to come off mute, Janet.
Not used to being on mute.
Ah,
I feel slightly dismayed by the fact that we're jumping in only with reward and there's no mention of contribution. I feel that I say total focus because there's been nothing else yet on what's in it for me, and that was a phrase that was quoted as an attraction. What's in it for me? This does not tie, in my mind, with the principles of cooperation. Cooperation is done by us. It is done by a group of people working together. And this feels too individualistic. So it's a bit of a shot across the bows. What I want to see as a reward is feeling that I'm part of a society and that with other people like-minded, we're achieving something which we can't do any other way or is not happening any other way.
and I suppose, I mean, that's interesting, Janet, because you're obviously really quite a committed member because you've given up your evening to come and talk to us. When you first became a member, what was it that attracted you?
Well, very specifically, it was a training evening for new members that was run by, his name will go now, trying to think of it. Sorry, I can't remember his name. Anyway, it was for anybody who'd signed up. Come along. We had a half day, or was it a whole day, in Botley Training Room. Phil Gaskin.
Oh, okay, right.
By Phil Gaskin. And I went along because I had the time and I was slightly curious. A friend of mine persuaded me to join. She was so enamored of the cooperative movement. And when I went to that meeting, I was bowled over by what I learned. And it was only by learning about what cooperation was, how it began in the retail form we know, and what the possibilities were, that enthused me to get involved. I think if somebody had just said, you can have a loyalty card and you get money off, I thought, oh, another one, well, I may as well. But I wouldn't have engaged at all.
Yeah, okay, that's really interesting because actually you're looking for, perhaps what we're looking to do in, a little bit further down the line as we build this. But that, it's really interesting to hear that. What about other people? Are you what would make the rest of you feel rewarded? There's lots of other people on here. What do you experience in retailers you use that makes you feel good about shopping with them?
So, Helen, we've got
Yeah.
some
Oh, I'm sorry.
Alex in chat, and Paul's raised his hand. So Alex mentioned that there's some background noise, so he's typing. But he supports and agrees with Janet's opinion.
Okay.
The reward scheme sounds like a chance to compete with Tesco's, but it's something really that reflects the cooperative movement values, is something that would make them feel more rewarded. So thank you, Alex.
Thank you. And I recognise you from last night's conversation, actually, Alex. So thanks for that. What about Paul's got his hand up?
Yep.
Yeah, thank you, Helen. I think what Janet said is a very, very important point because we're all different. So I think what the golden egg is you having a scheme that really hits the different points that appeal to different people. So I think where the key is that we do listen, we do get the points, and then we try and tailor it to what people really think is an increased sense of belonging. So it's fascinating discussion to get input of everyone, I think.
Yep.
And what for you then, Paul? What would you be looking for in terms of? I mean, I realise you're obviously on the board, so very committed already. But
yeah, I think from my perspective is different people have different priorities. Now, for myself, it's spreading the word how great mid-counties is and what we do in the background, which often goes unseen. However, for people I know who shop at a local shop, to get the surprise and a benefit of something that's exclusive to them as members is a real pick-me-up, and it's a real benefit. It's something they can take away with them.
Yeah.
So it's hitting the instant good sense of feeling together with the broader aspects of this is part of overall what we do and why we're different.
Yeah, yeah, and not just being another Tesco club card, but actually, yes, I
Exactly.
understand that. Yeah. Vivian, you've got your hand up. Oh, you've gone.
I'm back. Sorry. Yeah.
Oh, fab. Yeah.
Sorry, the light's shining on me in a slightly odd way, but I take no notice. I think the thing is that the co-op movement has always been a kind of powerful combination of self-interest, mutuality, and solidarity, and a little bit of altruism in there as well. It's been a bit of all three, and so I think if we go out with a certain type of offer, we will attract will attract people who are interested in that. So if we go out, with here is a pile of rewards, we'll attract people who are looking for rewards. If we go out with here's a movement you can become part of that's trying to people to make the world a better place and join with others to do it. So I think we need to bear that in mind a bit. I mean, Janet didn't join because we went out and said rewards. She joined because we told her about the values and the purpose of the organization. So I guess I think that should warn us against focusing entirely on a strategy where we draw people in with the rewards offer and then try to interest them in other things. Although I think that's valid as well, because some people, have other things that would appeal to them, but you won't necessarily get to them with that straight away, because it might just not occur to them that what they see as a supermarket is going to do that, is going to offer that, so, or that it's authentic if they do. So I think that a variety of approaches is fine, but I think we shouldn't forget that there are some people who will join the co-op, join mid-counties, join the co-op movement because they want to be part of something bigger that's doing things they agree with and want to see happen.
Yeah, and I mean that makes lots of sense. And I guess if we turned it the other way round, we really value our members. We know we do, and all the things that you've all been saying, kind of all really reinforce that you value being part of this. And I guess the question might be, how do we demonstrate to our members that we value them? So when I talk about making them feel rewarded, that doesn't have to be giving them a voucher for money off. That could be thanking them for things, or inviting them to things, and all those. You might say tonight makes me feel rewarded because you want to hear my opinions, for example. So I'm interested to hear from you guys. What would make you feel valued and rewarded as a member? It doesn't have to be money and offers and club card type stuff. It's it's to help inform our longer term thinking, this broader thinking. Janet, you've got your hand up again. Hello.
Yes, I think Janet's got a hand up again.
Fab.
Janet, you're on. Yes, there you go.
Didn't mean to have my hand up.
I know, it's hard tech, isn't it?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, it's because I don't see it on my image. Sorry, it's too easy.
All right.
Oh, it's okay. Has anyone else got
much easier if we were in a room together, Janet, right?
Yes, we've got Stephen with his hand up here. Hi, Stephen.
Hello, I'll put forward my penny's worth. It may not be the normal view, but whilst I'm a loyal member, the whole concept of a card and the dividend is slightly comical when it's at a halfpenny in the pound.
Yeah.
Understand it being a halfpenny, I'm not asking it to be more. I understand the commercial world.
Yeah.
Mine was actually quite different. We've been through a difficult year with COVID, and had the mid-counties said to me, Stephen, you have no dividend this year because we've had a hard year, I just said, I'm quite happy with that. I fully expected mid-counties to say that, because a halfpenny in the pound is next to nothing. Tesco's offer a penny in the pound, which on the club card points system you increase to 3 times. So they offer vastly better value in terms of a card. So I'm not in the co-op, the mid-counties, for a membership card. I'm very much like Janet. I joined years ago because of an event that was put on at an ice building with some food to encourage people to learn more about the cooperative movement. I appreciate that costs money, but it did suck a certain type of person in, and I was one of those, and I'm still here, giving mid-counties moral support and shopping there.
How many years have you been with us, Stephen?
20 plus. I'd have to work out. No, oh yeah, well over 20 years, probably close.
Thank you for your membership.
Yeah. And Stephen, in terms of, you obviously value your mid-counties membership. Do you feel valued back by us? So do you feel that we reward you in any way for that, for all that commitment, all of that 20 years?
Not really, no. But
There you go.
also
That's the
accept
question.
the commercial world. I'm not jumping down and complaining, but I don't feel I'm rewarded in any way at all. No, I do it because I believe in the values and the heritage. And I mean, my family were cooperators in the 1840s. We're probably one of the oldest established running family cooperators in the country.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Right.
We were around at the time, the Rochdale Pioneers. So that's why I do it. It's loyalty, heritage, and commitment.
Yeah. Okay. Fab. Thank you. We got any more hands?
We've got some voice in chat.
Have we? Fab.
David has said, for me, it's part of being something where we all cooperate to the benefit of all. While the rewards are good, it's not for me the main reason for being part of the cooperative movement. I value Mid-Counties membership for that very reason.
Okay.
Getting a really nice feel that there's something more to it than just the rewards piece and a rewards program.
Yeah. And Alison, I don't think either of us would work here if there wasn't more to it than that, because it's, that's very compelling, isn't it?
That's, I guess, reassuring.
Yeah, I'm really interested in the 70% of people who Melody surveyed a couple of years ago, for whom that was the initial reason for joining, and how we kind of take them on that journey that you guys have been on.
Stephen has another thought.
Yeah.
Well, I've put my neck on the block, so I will do it again. Not entirely how do I feel rewarded, but it does touch on it. The yellow colour is clearly the corporate image now on the presentations and on the web page. My take is the current Mid-Counties web page is the dullest, most boring web page I have ever seen. The colours, the interaction, and the information that was there when the colour blue, etc., was there, it's all gone now, and it just bores me to death.
Okay. Thank you. What would you like to see on the website, or what was there before that really spoke to you, Stephen?
Brighter colours, different script, different text, better information. It's as if somewhere within the Mid-Counties they've said, let's dumb this site down and get it built as cheaply as we can and replace what was good before, all in the name of corporate progress.
Okay. Yes. Yes, Helen, the question is about whether members feel valued.
Were you talking to me, Helen, or other Helen?
I was talking to Helen Wiseman.
I thought you might be, yes. Hi, Helen. Have you got a question? Oh, Vivian has his hand up.
Yes, sorry, I just want to finish on.
Helen, really.
Finish on Helen's point. Helen is making the point that, is it that we want people to feel valued rather than rewarded, and is rewarded throwing us off a little bit?
Yeah, it may well be, because I think we've just talked about your co-op rewards and we've talked about offers, and actually, I had a broader meaning in that, in terms of just feel rewarded and valued for, I guess to me they're the same thing, but obviously not, in terms of feeling valued for as being a member.
Yes. Vivian.
Yes, I was really just going to agree with what Helen Wiseman is saying. I think when we ask the question, do you feel rewarded for your membership? I think that's I'm not sure I like the term rewarded, simply because it implies a reward scheme, or it could make people think that that's what you're talking about. And I realize you're not. But, when I get my vouchers, I suppose I think, it's not transformational as the dividend once was in terms of family finances, but it is a token of the fact that we the members own the society, and that we've had something back for, which represents our share of the profits that have been made, or surplus that's been made. So that I feel good about it, more than I feel, the value of the money, if you see what I mean. Although, because we do all our shopping, we're lucky enough to have a big shop here. It pays for half a shop when you do it, so you notice it. But having said that, I think the key thing is not to present. If we present what we're doing as a reward scheme, people will think of it as a reward scheme, and that's not just about what we call it. It's about what it looks like. Whether when someone looks at it, it says, well, it walks like a reward scheme, it quacks like a reward scheme, so it must be one. I think I've had some reservations about the use of it's like turning up the volume on the word rewards for that reason, because I think it might send the wrong signal. But I think if we're not going to do that, we have to figure out what messaging we do want to use that will work.
Yes.
And that's a challenge. I mean, on a personal level, I would say that the rewards that have been offered for these stamps that have been saved up so far, well, it's hard to use. Frankly, it's hard to use them anyway. But I'm not, I've saved an awful lot of stamps. I'm not going on all those holidays, and I can't tell whether they're good value or not, really. Anyway, and even if I did want to, so I think we need a wider range of more of things that are not just travel.
Yes. What sort of things would you like to see, Vivian?
Well, I think you could offer people, for example, a free connection for their broadband or something like that, or if you want to, you could use it to win people over to services that are not a very high proportion of people are using, or something valuable and useful that they're like. So I understand that we want to encourage people to try a different business that we're in, so not just to give them a food reward in food. But maybe we have to give some rewards in the same business, just to get people used to the idea that this is something they can have. But then maybe we entice them with something outside their business. So and maybe it's something that they wouldn't have ordered, like, I don't know, at the moment, what might you order from the pharmacy, the online pharmacy, a box of masks or something. may not seem like the most exciting reward, but it's something we've all got to get, isn't it?
Yes.
Or maybe it's something like, for example, in the community co-op power tariff, at the standard price for a year. That might be a reward you could offer that would bring people in, show them immediately the values side of what we're doing, but not make it financially attractive. Or maybe it's something that's not trade. Maybe it's also something that we put on that's of benefit to members, that attracts them to come to an event that they would otherwise perhaps feel they have to pay for. So some activity or something like that.
Yes, and that could tap into the community. I just want to capture Lee's thought in chat, Helen. He said, I use 4 of our 6 trading groups, and I would like to feel a little more special for my loyalty. and would like the idea of bandings, perhaps with different benefits. More loyal you are, more loyal you demonstrate you are. And he also came up with a nice idea, building on Vivian's comment, which is exclusive meat producer tours and events like that.
Yeah, nice. And what, any comments on what Lee's just said then? So he's obviously looking to be, you know, is happy to be
Janet's got
rewarded.
her hand up.
Janet, sorry. You're on mute, Janet.
Going back on the recent point about outings and so on, that had been done in the not too distant past. Hugely attractive to members, and members then have the opportunity to talk to one another. I know it can happen at an online, it's a non-online, real large gathering, but you tend not to talk to people from your locality at these large gatherings because there are relatively few of them there. But the outings and in-store events mean you meet your local fellow members, which does work to bond. And I have to put a word in for the colleagues, because engaging with somebody helping you in a co-op is quite different to engaging or trying to engage with somebody who's just working, I don't mean just, but working in a straight PLC sort of environment. So I think the sense of belonging and trying to feel special, I think is almost obliterated by the mass emails or the auto emails that respond when your membership card has gone through the machine. It triggers a ping and you get an email asking you what was your experience at the store like. How many times do I need to tell you? Could be a response, but you don't get that option. I don't know if many other people are put off by that, but I almost find it insulting. It irritates me because I know a person hasn't asked me. A person might look at the replies, but to what end?
Yeah, and that's, you know, that's interesting you say that, Janet, because we do that so that we can understand the service that we're giving. It's a random sample of people, I believe. You're obviously very lucky or unlucky because you've been picked lots of times, but interesting that you actually find it quite negative being asked that. So that's something quite useful for us to hear, I think.
Yes, maybe we're just doing it too many times. Thank you, Janet.
Yeah.
I'd like to mention in chat, we have David who said he likes Lee's suggestion. Maybe this could be an extension of member points, such as were awarded for attending the AGM, for example.
Yeah.
And we have a couple more people in chat.
We've got Paul with his hand up. Is there anyone in chat, did you say, Alison?
Yes, Janet, did you still have some thoughts to share? You're on mute, Janet, sorry.
I'm muted. Only on the emails. The irritating part for me is that they don't ask the questions that I want to tell them about. Like, what are you looking for? Yes, because I wasn't looking for very much, because I know the store doesn't have it. Now, if the question was, did you find what you needed or everything that you wanted to buy, then I could answer no. But did I find what I was looking for? Yes, because I knew what was there. I don't go looking for things I know the store doesn't have. So that's not a helpful question.
Okay.
And other questions can be, taken apart like that.
We should definitely have a look at our questions to make sure that they are constructive in the right way. Thank you, Janet. Paul?
Yeah, just to extend this discussion on value and reward, I think that they are different but go hand in hand. And just to illustrate this, is probably a parallel with what's happened in football this last couple of weeks, where the biggest clubs have tried to form their Super League. And what's happened is it's become clear that all the supporters feel disconnected and not valued. And that's separate to a club getting results, which everybody wants. And it's quite interesting to see, again, the different approach taken by Chelsea, whereby Roman Abramovich has actually invited 2 supporters to attend board meetings, whereas Manchester United just buried their head in the sand, and you can see what's happened. So I think, from my perspective, value is a sense of belonging to something special, and probably the thing which I know we know ourselves and need to improve is our communication to our members of exactly what we are doing to make them feel special. But on top of that, to give them a little bit of reward as well, akin to a football club winning a match, doesn't go amiss. But I think they are 2 different but interconnected issues.
Great. Yes, we should definitely be making our members feel special. That's for sure.
Brilliant.
Stephen, Stephen has his hand up, and then I think we'll move us forward to the next set of discussions. Stephen.
Well, feeling valued or being a member who is trying to contribute. A few years back, there were quarterly meetings. They were axed probably on the basis of cost saving. Then about 3 years ago, there were questionnaires, surveys aimed at trying to axe the 6 monthly meetings, again to save money. Now we've gone to Team or Zoom for an AGM. I doubt the mid-counties will be going back to Chateau Whitney because cost will come into that. So ultimately, I feel as a member, do I meet the directors? Do I see the human beings involved? Do I really know what's happening with the business? Ultimately, my answer will be no. I feel it's gone backwards because it's all too costly.
I think this year has been an exceptional year with COVID, and certainly we'd like to be back in the room together. It will, generate that sense of belonging and membership in a physical way. So yes, but it's a very fair point. Thank you. So Pete's put a note in chat saying, I think rewarding for me for positive behaviors, making sustainable choices, promoting cooperation, as this will help me think that we're in it together. That's a really nice thought. So actually rewarding different behaviors, not just buying things. And Vivian's point was, I think perhaps we should aim to help people feel part of something, a sense of belonging rather than making them feel rewarded or special. And a thumbs up from, I'm just trying to see who the thumbs up was from.
Sarah Yates.
Sarah Yates. And then Helen, Stephen, believe me, the directors feel the same. So I think we all feel the same. We've all got really good on Teams and Zoom, but there's nothing that beats being in a room together. And that's certainly the spirit that we want to take forward. All right. So thank you. I'm going to ask to move us on. Just checking. Janet, you still have your hand up. Do you still have a point to make? Oh, an old hand. Okay, great. Okay, so we can move on because we've got some other thought provokers for you. So that was all about rewards. This is about increasing positive impact. So Melody?
Okay, yes. So just to take you through the next part of the sort of research that we've carried out over the last couple of years. This one was at the end of 2020. And what this one was about is trying to understand from you as members, what are the things that you think or you believe strongly that we should be focusing on? So we asked lots and lots of questions and we had some amazing ideas. I've just collated some of them here so you can see the sorts of things that came out. So you wanted better two-way communication, more transparency in terms of our key business decisions, more opportunities to vote, more information about what we're doing around mental health, home delivery. You wanted to see how we were going to tackle food poverty, or you wanted us to do more about tackling food poverty, investing more in food banks, how we're going to reduce waste, environmental and social policies at the centre of our business decisions. You wanted improved accessibility to our businesses, and you wanted us to support local suppliers and food provenance. Just some ideas here that we pulled out from that survey, but the main theme that came through was that you wanted us to increase our positive impact. So, based on that piece of research, what we've done, and the CSR team have been very much in charge of this over the past year in developing this framework. What we've done is we've taken all those ideas and put them into 6 categories. So, for each one of those categories and one of those themes, we can build a strategy around it. So, just to take you through, that financial viability and independence is around directly supporting the vulnerable people with things such as home delivery, service, safe places, and food banks. Then health, well-being and nutrition is about establishing healthy communities for the long term, supporting the well-being of our colleagues and members, including supporting them with their positive mental health. Then education, which is around empowering our local communities by supporting the education of people at various stages of life, developing partnerships with schools and further higher education establishments. Then environmental is around minimising the environmental impact of our business operations, including tackling single-use plastics and reducing greenhouse emissions, as well as empowering our members to live socially responsible lifestyles. Then energy consumption and production is around supporting sustainable energy solutions, including reducing energy waste, utilising our properties for energy production and storage opportunities, helping develop community renewable energy. And then community infrastructure, which is around helping to build social local communities through our society's activities, services, trading sites and partnerships, as well as supporting vulnerable members of the community, whether directly or indirectly through community partners via volunteering, funding and providing self-help skills. So back over to Helen, just to discuss a little bit more about what we've just heard.
Okay, so you've just heard from Melody that there's a lot of passion behind, our members wanting to feel they're making a difference to people, to communities, to people in the communities, but also to the environment. And, we also heard from Melody that, members actually want to have their say and want to have some influence. They don't just want to be passive members. They want to actually, influence what we're doing in some way. So I guess my next discussion question then is, how can we make it easier for you to get involved in the things we do and to make that difference that members are so keen to make, and to have that input into what we do? So how do we make it easier for you to get involved? And how do we make it easier for other members? Because you're here tonight, which is already some involvement, but how do we make that easier? Now we have that really quiet bit when we're waiting whilst you're all having a think, whilst we're waiting for the first input. So has anyone got any thoughts about how we can make it easier for members to get involved?
I suppose I have a question, and it's, are we communicating some of the things that we're doing clearly enough, or is there, are there some things that we can do to share a little bit more what we're doing so people can get involved? It's a question to our members, really. Helen.
Hi, I'll come back on camera. I suppose my view is that if you have things that people can get involved in, I think if you just ask people, do you want to do something, they're a little bit frightened to say yes, because they don't quite know what they're signing up for, what the commitment might be. But I've found, certainly within the society and also within other spheres, school association, all the other things that go on, if you were very clear with people about what it is that you're asking them to do, what the commitment is, it's a sort of it's a very specific piece that they then feel they can either say yes or no to, rather than does it fit with them. And I think with people's busy lives, I think small bite-sized chunks of commitment are much easier.
Yes, that's great insight.
Has anyone got anything to add? What do you think about what Helen's just said?
So
Janet said it's also important to know who you will be doing it with.
Yes.
talked about other people. How can we make it easier for, I can see there's a hand up somewhere. It's Juliet.
I was just wondering if there were events that colleagues get involved in that we could maybe tell members about and maybe do things together. So Janet's point about important to know who you're doing it with, in terms of internal schemes that colleagues do, from supporting local communities by painting school playgrounds or doing litter picks, if there's any way that we could tell people about those, and then people, to Helen's point, could choose if they'd like to come along and help and support. I don't know if there are any activities like that.
Now, that's a good question. I know we have people on the call who can answer that question. I can see Daisy's got a hand up. Daisy, are you putting your hand up to answer Juliet's question?
No, but I was going to build on. I was going to build on Juliet's point of that sounds kind of a good answer to my query almost of how we can kind of promote what's happening in local communities better. We obviously have our regional communities, but actually for members to know what opportunities are available on a more local level rather than kind of across the society as well, and ensuring that kind of that's spread. And maybe the way to do that is kind of through colleagues and getting involved in what colleagues are doing as well.
Yeah, so there's a point here about how do we make sure people know what they could get involved in. I think that both, you know, Daisy and Juliet are making. I know we do have some, I don't want to pick on anyone, but
Tara has her hand up.
Tara, wonderful. I was going to pick on either Tara or Pete. Tara, have you got, do you want to kind of answer that one? Both for colleagues and for members.
You know, very much aware that there's people on this call that have been involved in such activities in the past. And Janet and I spent some many years ago now, sort of many of our Saturdays looking at member activity and member engagement in hotels, talking about how we get member ambassadors. And it's something that we've never really cracked, if we're honest. We have got some very loyal, active members in our regional communities. There's about 25 of them in those regional communities that are involved at a local level quite extensively in what we're doing. But we've never cracked the opening up. There seems to be so many different barriers that we needed to remove, and I'm sure we can with some focus, whether that be around, you know, how many people you can have involved in things to do with children's playgrounds when people need to have checks and all sorts of things. So things have got quite complex over recent years with what you can do. One of the most successful things that we have really done is around the community litter picks, where that's become almost a bit of a team activity in a community, people looking after their community, feeling a sense of pride in what they're doing. So that has been really successful. Clearly, COVID squashed that. That will be they're reintroduced from the next few months. But definitely when we relaunch our regional communities in September, we will be looking from a member involvement lens and how we can get much more of our members involved. Our charity partners are also asking for support and support beyond the colleague support that we offer, and we're looking to hopefully broker some opportunities there. So there are things happening, but absolutely agree. It's one of the things that we've never really cracked as we've wanted to, for whatever reason, communication, logistics, challenges and barriers, but something that we've all been very passionate about. And I know that particularly Janet Warren has been very passionate about for a long time.
Good, thank you, Tara.
Thank you, Tara. There's a couple of points in, Helen, there's a couple of points in chat.
Yes, I was just about to read them out. So yeah, so we've got a comment from Lee, who sort of follows on from Tara's points really, which is to say, you know, it's quite difficult with our commitment to reduce paper to actually use any other communication other than email. But he feels we use email too much, and of course people ignore that. It becomes white noise. Could we phone out known active members to generate interest to events, or to complement email, or use communication through the app if and when it's available? So that's a good suggestion about making our communication more impactful and not just relying on loads and loads of emails. And then from David, he's saying we need to be a little more proactive at local store level. So his local store comes under the High Wycombe and Tame group, but most of us have not met anyone else. There needs to be some more local meetings and events we can take part in. And this online session is, of course, a very good example too, which is great. So I don't know whether High Wycombe and Tame is part of a regional community. Tara, is it? Sorry, Tara, to bring you back in.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is part of a regional community. Yes. Yeah, so that's something we can pick up separately offline, David, and look to see how we can regenerate that. But we should, at a local level, be seeing much more activity come September, with some concerted efforts to bring some more local events, and definitely around the food stores as almost our community hubs, what that looks like, what it feels like, and how we can broker much more interaction and relationships at that level. The other thing I'd just like to add, and be interested in the chat actually, is, clearly what we're trying with these new approach as we build to the AGM of these co-op conversation events, and people will have noticed that there is a range of activities going on. I'd just be really interested in the chat if our members had let us know what they thought of that as an approach, and would they like to see more of that going forward, and have they booked onto any other sessions?
Absolutely, because actually this is a good example, as David said and as Tara's just said, of actually getting you involved in the things we do and getting your opinions. So in terms of the things we've heard about, actually you kind of want to know what's available. That's one of the things we can do to make it easier. You've talked about having things, making sure there are things available locally. So David talked about, for example, his area. And then we've also had some input around thinking, about being more personal about the way we contact people, and not just expecting people to respond to emails when, to Janet's point, they're not terribly sure who's going to be there, and it's very easy to ignore. Is there anything else that anyone would like to add to some of those points?
You have a hand up.
Oh,
Paul's got his hand up.
Yeah, thank you, Helen. Just an extension of what David said, really, and looking at the definition of getting involved. I think there's two definitions, really. One is directly getting involved, like a litter pick, or the other one is influencing decisions.
Yeah.
I'm going to mention a competitor of ours now, but it's very effective. The green disc at Waitrose is very, very effective, because it allows the customer to choose which they feel is the most important venture to back locally, and it illustrates what's going on in the background. And coming on regarding the use of paper, in other establishments, we actually in store they have a video. So what you can do with the videos is actually expand on what we do locally. So if customers are waiting, it's in the background, and again it brings it forward and towards them. So some good points been made, I think, on that one.
Yes, and that's a really good point, Paul. Actually, that involvement doesn't have to be giving up hours and hours and hours of your time. It could literally be saying, I vote for this one. I want you to go in this direction. Any more on this topic, on getting involved?
Janet said not in Kidlington, which is an interesting comment. Janet, do you want to explain that?
It's the bit about videos and watching things in store while you're waiting to be served. There are many, many, many stores now that I imagine that don't have those facilities. There are 3 food stores in Kidlington, and none of them have that. They're all convenience stores, and the convenience store in the high street is competing with a Tesco's and an Iceland, and there's a mega Sainsbury's just short, well, a 10-minute walk down the road. And I think when the society moved to a convenience store rather than supermarket or whatever you call the next one, a lot of stores must have lost those facilities.
Would it be helpful, Janet, if they were brought back in, given that they are convenience stores and people are trying to get in and out quickly? What are your thoughts?
Absolutely, because people still have to queue. The most frustrating thing in the convenience stores that I'm aware of now is they don't want customers to spend a lot in there, because it is so difficult to manage everything from a till, which is place your basket here and pack. You can feel the heavy breathing behind, because you're doing a middling sized shop and they've only come in for a paper and a pint of milk. And they resent, and you feel that you've been a bit of a nuisance. That doesn't help boost takings, does it?
No, that's true.
Yeah.
Okay, that's really good insights. And we are looking at our point of sale and our in-store experiences, and moving maybe to video is something we could revisit. So really good idea, really good thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I think I can't see any more hands up or any more comments. So are there any final contributions before we move on to the final section? I don't want to miss anyone out.
We can always come back, Helen.
We can always come back, absolutely. Yeah, it's not so formal that you can't say, I've just had another idea on something you asked.
No, we're getting some good thinking, though.
We are.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to move then to the third section, the third idea stimulator, and Melody's going to take us through the most recent research that we've undertaken.
Yeah, thanks, Alison. So the last part of the research that we've conducted over the past couple of years was very recent, actually. We sent a survey out in April. This one was a bit different in terms of the fact that we had lots of open questions, so we could really get the real sentiment behind what how you feel and what you want to tell us. So really interesting. The first question we asked was, what does being a member of your co-op mean to you? Some of the thoughts that came through were things like, my shopping is ethical and helps my community rather than just profit orientated. Some of the stuff that's been talked about earlier in the discussions today around what it means to be a member of your co-op other than rewards. So being part of an organisation which supports my local community, being part of a friendly, ethical organisation that is at the heart of the community, having a say, which we've been talking about as well, being part of something that gives back and doesn't just keep all the profits. That's come up quite a few times. Being a member has positive benefits, not only for myself, but for the wider community. It's a brand that I trust, not only getting reasonable quality goods, I am adding to my rewards and helping the community. The other question we asked was, what else could we do to make membership more meaningful? So apart from rewards, aside from what we've talked about, what else could we be focusing on doing to make membership more meaningful for you? And some of the ideas that came through were more local events. We've just been talking about that as well, including accessible meetings, community support initiatives selected by members, support causes, education and groups local to me in my area, member forums to allow us to talk to each other and build a community, more information about what we do with the profits, have more of a say in how we invest in our communities, community support initiatives selected by members, respond to local issues and local community needs. So once again, I'll pass you on to Helen for the final discussion.
Thank you, Melody. So this is the final bit. I think I'm probably going to slightly rephrase my question, actually, based on the conversation we've been having so far. So obviously we want to make membership really meaningful. Clearly it is meaningful for lots of the people on this call, and you've been very passionate and emotional in some of the things that you've talked about that, really, really mean a lot to you. So you might not feel we could make membership more meaningful for you as an individual necessarily, but what else do you think we could do to make membership more meaningful to more people? We have over 700,000 members. There's 23 on this call tonight. So what about the rest of them? How do we make membership mean more to them? And how do we get across this, this great passion that you've been talking about? Who's going to start? Janet,
Janet's got a
you are our
Love
hero
Janet.
starter. Yeah.
I'll be quick then. I think we could be bold and actually offer education in cooperation, because co-op is more than a brand, and the word does get used occasionally, almost politically, but not a lot. And I think to have some quite, I say dry, some quite formal offering out of the number of members we have, it's going to appeal to some offering where we can offer what I experienced when I first became a member, to learn where cooperation came from, why people cooperated to find a solution to a problem. There are problems today, and we've talked about the work we might be doing in them, but the idea of cooperating to tackle that, rather than this is something that we will do as our corporate responsibility, it's quite a different flavour. So I feel strongly that cooperation should be a topic, and particularly the economic implications of the virtual circle of money rotating in the local economy. It's not a topic that's going to interest everybody, but there are going to be a large number of people who would be interested, I think.
And it's something, Janet, I think as a newbie to the society, I'm not sure I knew that before I joined. And so for the outside world looking in, it's really very different, but you need to be on the inside to actually experience it. So that's one of our problems, I think.
Yeah, I would echo that. I found, we all go through as new colleagues, there's a half-day induction where we look at the history, and it's so inspiring. But, that wasn't why I joined the society. It was, it was something I discovered when I had already joined. I joined for a job. So I don't quite know how we get that across, but I agree that actually it's, it is really, we all find it really inspiring when we engage with it, don't we?
Yes.
What about other people? What else? What would
Irene has her hand up.
Yeah.
Hi,
Thank
Irene.
you. Thanks, Janet. I found what you suggested really inspiring. And I think maybe if we came up with some packs of materials aimed at sort of, I was going to say year 5, year 6s, but also secondary schools. Project, bit of history where the movement started, but focusing on practical implications today. And I particularly like your suggestion of economics, Janet, because we know we've got a massive unemployment problem of 16 to 25-year-olds. There's a big focus on entrepreneurialism. I'm thinking of young graduates as well. So raising awareness of the benefits of cooperation, of getting started in life if you can't find a job, and some really practical examples. I suppose in a way, sort of taking over what Young Enterprise used to cover. I would get really quite enthused about that. Maybe we could work with Co-operative College on producing some materials.
And a great idea and focus for our Young Cooperators Network.
Yep.
Stephen, thank you, Irene. That's really great build. Stephen.
I am very much behind Janet with her views there. The 721,900 and whatever people who aren't here tonight. A lot of them wouldn't care less about the history and the heritage of the cooperative movement. But those that do, if they look on the Mid-Counties website now in the open page and click on heritage, they'll see it's been watered down to such an extent it's almost non-existent. It's another item where there's clearly been a strategic move over the recent years to just Photoshop that out of the Mid-Counties and cooperative story. It just isn't there. So we're not going to get the message across.
I'm with you on that. As an outsider, I love the Rochdale Pioneers and all of that social activism that is so much part of our heritage, and we definitely need to see how we can bring that up to make it relevant today. Lee had a little point in chat, and he's getting some thumbs up on it. So do you want to read that out, Helen?
Yeah, so Lee is saying he's talking about, the things that you guys have talked about. So we only really bring that to the front on Co-op Fortnight, and perhaps we need to make it a common topic We communicate regularly, demonstrating our society being part of a bigger movement rather than focusing on our independence so much. So, you know, he's saying perhaps we should focus on our cooperativeness and not our independent from all the other cooperatives. It's just something we've talked about, isn't it, Alison, that, you know, we're not in competition.
Yes.
We're actually, you know, we're on, in some ways we're in competition, but actually we have very common values. Irene, you've got your hand up. Is it still left from last time, or have you got a new point? A new point. Fab.
No, I've just lowered my hand. Thank you for reminding me.
That's all right. But Vivian has got his hand up.
Yep.
Yes, I was just going to say that I agree with what Lee said. The idea of communicating the fact that we're part of a movement, I think is really important. So, you know, I think if you talk about some examples of really inspiring co-ops and what they've achieved from, you know, this country and around the world, the fact that, for example, you know, the IFCO co-op in India has now has 50 million farmer members, and it's, you know, making it possible for them to survive as farmers. I mean, that's a remarkable thing, and that's been achieved since the 1960s. You know, that's an astounding statistic, really. The other thing I was going to say is the Young Cooperatives Network has been mentioned, and I mean, when I got involved, you know, I was 21 and there wasn't a Young Cooperatives Network. If there had been, I might have joined it. But I wonder how impactful that, you know, how many people are in it, and whether we could expand on that. You know, I imagine that in a trading area, if we're allowed to use that term, the size of ours, it ought to be possible to recruit quite a lot of young people, because I think young people are very much in tune with our values, and you know, quite fertile ground. I realise that recruiting people isn't always easy, and the last year has been even more difficult time. But nevertheless, it's a question: could we do more with that? Could we, you know, if it's been successful, could we replicate what we're perhaps doing in one area in another, or organise more events, involve more people?
Great ideas.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, my 17-year-old is a member, and he's a member of the Young Cooperators Network, and is really, really attuned to the values, but actually, you know, has yet to work out what's actually in it for him. And that's the little bit that I think the bit we need to add is, you know, what's in it for them. And then I think you're right, Vivian. You know, we have an audience who wants that. We just have to give them something to engage with.
Thank you, Helen. Stephen has his hand up.
Well, just touching on what Vivian was saying about India, if we go across the other side of the world, we don't tell the message that America, the great global capitalist monster, but the most successful state is California, the most prosperous state is California. And in California, they have the richest agricultural area in the world and the most productive. And all of the Californian agriculture is cooperative. It's not capitalism. And there's a simple message.
Yes.
Nobody knows it.
Yeah, the scale, when we think about it across the globe, the scale of the cooperatives movement is huge. And again, we don't really leverage it. I remember when I saw that, I went through that training when I first joined, of something like 10% of the world's population is connected to or a member of a cooperative movement across the world, which is amazing to think of the scale of that.
Mm. Have we got any more comments? I can't see anything else in the comment stream. Any more contributions? Anything else anyone wants to say? It doesn't look like it. So I just want to thank you. You've given us some, you know, fantastic input, and thank you for being so willing to share your thoughts and build on each other. It's been really quite inspiring, actually. I think we're going to move to summing up now. Is that okay? Or has anyone got anything they really wish they'd said that they've just not quite yet had the courage to say? No, I can't see any hands up. So I'll hand over to you, Alison, to sum up. And we do have a final question for you for the chat.
Oh, we do. We have got it.
No, we haven't actually. Just ignore it.
We take it out.
I
we can add that in the chat actually, because we have got a little bit of time, Helen, so that's fine. Okay, so if we could go to the next chart. I don't know if we still have Helen on, but we were very fortunate to have our president on our call today and have her contribute to our thinking and our ideas. But she very kindly did a video for us to thank you all. So Melody, if you wouldn't mind playing the video.
Hello, I'm Helen Wiseman, Society President, and I'd like to thank you for joining us for this session today. I hope that you found it both interesting and informative. This is part of our ongoing commitment to get members more involved and listening to their views on the society that they own. I'm delighted to tell you that we've been nominated as Leading Co-op of the Year, and you can find out more about how to vote in this award at the end of the video. And finally, I look forward to our AGM on the 13th of May. I hope that you can join us, take part and vote on issues that matter and find out how we are driving the success of your society, supporting our communities and working towards a better, fairer world. Thank you.
Lovely. All right, so as we just tie up, Helen mentioned there was one more question that we would like you to pop in chat, and that is, if there's one thing that we take away from the session tonight, what would be that one thing that you'd like us to really focus on? If we could just do one thing in terms of building the future that we want for the cooperative movement and mid-counties, what would that one thing be? So please take a little moment and put your ideas in chat and we will capture them all. So we'll just let you take a little moment to do that. So Vivian says, create a sense of belonging for more of our members, belonging to something they identify with, which enables them to have impact that they couldn't have alone. Absolutely. Pete says, facilitate members, connecting with other like-minded members. Stephen said, tell the real story of co-op heritage. I absolutely agree with that one. Janet said, members need opportunities to meet and get to know each other in their locality. Absolutely. I'm hearing that the events thing is very strong. Lee says, to recognise the active member and what they bring just as much as the trading member.
Mm-hmm.
Irene said, offering educational packs to schools to support cooperative projects relevant to today's post-COVID world. Yep, let's engage the new generation. David said, getting us involved and meeting other members when it's safe to do so. Hear, hear. Juliet, talk more about the impact that we're having in our local communities and encourage new ideas and more participation. A good point. People frantically typing. Mm-hmm. Okay. Sarah said, how can we create a sense of belonging, aka a movement? How can we create a higher purpose, i.e. opportunities to work together to solve problems in our communities that matter to members? Absolutely brilliant question. We need some thoughts and some answers, but great one to raise, Sarah. Okay. Well, look, thank you very much. It leaves me to thank you all. You know, your thoughts and your challenges, your ideas have been very inspirational to us. We weren't sure how this was going to go, but, you know, just galvanizing your collective brains has been very inspiring for us today. So thank you. We will galvanize all your thoughts and continue to use them to shape our ideas over the next 5 years. Special thanks to the team that put on the show and worked behind the scenes for everything. And special thanks to Helen and Melody for being my co-partners tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure and a joy to spend time with you all. So thank you, and have a wonderful rest of evening, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.